Okay, hi everyone. I'm Michelle. I know I normally do gaming videos on my YouTube channel, but I figured this time I would try something new in terms of making a video revolving around my husky here, Riley. She's a Siberian Husky, and she is actually a very large part of my life. I pretty much do everything with her, and since I do a lot of obedience training, we have a lot of structure around, and just she takes up a lot of my energy, and I wanted to give an honest recount for my experience owning her up till now. So I'll give a little bit of a background. I've always liked Huskies. I remember being a teenager and just loving how beautiful and majestic they looked. So I always had them in my mind as the breed I would get. So she is actually the first dog I've ever had. I don't think I properly did my research because I focused so hard on their appearance, and I liked the fact that they were active dogs. So I wanted that to motivate me to be more active. I am a little bit now. I mean, I work out and everything, but just having her obviously forces me to take her out more and not sit on my ass all day. So in terms of that and temperament, they're pretty distant. They're not very affectionate. If I, grab her over to hug her, she wants to leave right away. She doesn't hang around and enjoy the cuddles for very long. But so I'll just get into, I guess, the journey of how I ended up getting her. So I got her last year, April of 2015. Before that, I was living in an apartment that did not allow dogs, so I was searching around to try to find some place to rent in New Jersey that allowed larger dogs, let alone Siberian Huskies. As you can see now, she's actually pretty small for the breed, but I think that's partially because she's female. I think she's actually 40 pounds, so that's not tiny, but when I was planning on getting a Husky, I expected them, or mine, to be much bigger. So this is kind of an interesting turnout, but I actually like her size. She's like a medium dog that I can actually do activities with, not one of those tiny 10-pound dogs or anything. But so yeah, I was searching around for places to rent, and New Jersey seems actually kind of anti-pets in terms of renting, so it was really difficult, but eventually I did manage to get it to work. I contacted a breeder in Pennsylvania. They're called Laura Dale's Siberians. She breeds some beautiful dogs. I will definitely link to her website in the info box in case anybody else is interested in checking her out. The entire process with her was really quick. Riley here was born January 5th, 2015. Wait, 2016, I'm sorry, 2016. So I took her home in April, so I kind of missed the really tiny puppy stage. Normally breeders let you take them home at 8 weeks. I took her home at around 3 months, which is, an extra month, but she wasn't super tiny then anymore. So because of that, I was still dealing with moving and everything and making sure I had a place that allowed pets, so I asked her to hold her for an additional month before I was able to take her home. So to be honest, I was really oblivious to all parts of dog ownership. I felt like I did my research. I definitely looked up a ton of stuff, but I feel like there isn't always an honest account for owning a puppy because everyone focuses so hard on how cute they are and how small they are and cuddling them and just so much affection for nothing. Like just showering your puppy with affection. You see that a lot. And that just normally makes people feel like owning a puppy is not hard, that it's just easy and it's just cute all day. But what I quickly realized was that it was a nightmare. I definitely felt like I went through a period of, I guess online they call it puppy blues, but basically you feel depressed and you start questioning whether you made the right choice in getting a puppy because you're stressed out all the time. It's literally like owning a newborn. You have to watch them the whole time. I personally did not feel comfortable letting her free roam because she was like 3 months old. She was a baby, and they can have an accident at any time. That was one of the things that you really had to learn to accept, is that they will always have accidents. Having them pick up on potty training quick is really difficult just because they don't have full control of their bladders until later. So even if they gradually are starting to understand the concept of not going inside and going outside, there are just times where they can't control it. Like even now, at her age, it's situational, but say we were playing fetch indoors, and she's definitely potty trained now, but if she's highly active running around, she still ends up pooping indoors, and she knows not to do that. So on the flip side of having a puppy, it's just always going to happen. And aside from that, though, what I did not entirely realize was that I had to wake up constantly throughout the night to take her out to potty. So at a young age, like 3 months, I was setting my alarm every 2 hours to wake up, and it was really tough. And I was actually working full-time at the time, but was lucky enough to have been able to work from home for a week or two shortly after getting her, which made the transition more smooth. But if I had to go into the office 5 days a week while trying to raise a puppy, that would have been really tough. I didn't hire anybody to come during lunch. I worked 12 minutes away from where I lived, so I was able to drive home during lunch and let her out. But at like 3 months old, it is really hard to make sure everything is going smoothly. And at the time, I was also trying to crate train her. I personally feel that crating your dog is essential. It ensures that they're safe. They actually like den-like areas, so the crate is something they learn to really like. But in the early stages, though, it's tough because the puppy's gonna be whining for hours, really high-pitched, shrill, shrieking, everything, and you can't really let them out. You have to let them just calm down on their own. Eventually they'll learn that it's a good place to be in there and it's not bad. It's pretty unrealistic for you to expect your dog to be with you all the time, and when you're not around, they do have to learn to be calm. So the crate helps with that a lot. But overall, I would say the early few months were really tough. I did also eventually learn that what I expected out of my dog was that I wanted to make sure that they would listen to me. Indoors, of course, and outdoors. Outdoors is the most important because there are a ton of distractions, and I knew for a fact that I've seen plenty of people where their dogs would just ignore them completely when they're outside. I didn't really like that idea because, I mean, if I have a pet, and even if it's like similar to a child, you want them to consider you as like someone who matters when you're outdoors, and you want your rules and just your guidelines to stick no matter where you are. So I wanted to apply that to my dog, and when I decided on that, I gradually started to learn more and more about dog training. So I started her on obedience by using an e-collar. This is the remote for it. It's ET400 off the ecollar.com website. Basically, this tool was essential because I really wanted to achieve an off-leash dog. And I'm sure many people can say, I mean, just don't use a leash, and that counts, but I wanted assurance that if I called her back to me, she would come. and not blow me off. So training her on something like this teaches her routinely that if I ask her to come back to me, she'll do it right away, and if she doesn't, then she gets a high consequence, because a command like recall can be extremely, it's just something that you really need to make sure it's reliable, because there could be a situation that's dangerous, and when you call them back to you, you want them to come back immediately. There's no gray area for that. Like, it's definitely, every time I say come, you have to come back to me. So aside from that though, using this is not just for off leash, it's also for everything, like structure in the house, obedience commands. What she's doing right now actually is the place command, and it's pretty much like dog meditation, where they learn that they can't leave this cot until I release her, and then over time they kind of learn to instantly calm down when they go on it. Like now, whenever she's on it, she just ends up going to sleep, or she just puts her head down, and it's nice to see that the dog know that once they're on there, they have to be calm. Plus, if anything happens that usually causes the dog to be reactive, she maybe reacts a tiny bit, but she does not break command, and if she did, you would have a consequence for that. So normally situations like someone rings the doorbell, she can't run to the door. She's not allowed to do that. She stays there as I leave the room and go let someone in, but just overall, it's good because dogs tend to be reactive to many things, and it's our job to train them to not respond to every little thing that's happening. It's kind of similar to us, how we learn not to worry so much about things that probably aren't going to affect us, long-term or short-term. But I think I went into a little bit of a ramble in terms of what I do with her, but I guess just in general, I wanted to emphasize that the early puppy stages of owning a dog is not great by any means. I felt like I could have maybe managed to get more happiness out of it in the beginning. Sorry about that. Turns out there is a 4 gigabyte video limit for the Pixel, so it cut off while I was in the middle of talking. But basically, I do wish I was able to enjoy more of the early stages instead of always being angry. That was something that I really had to learn to control myself. I might look friendly and everything on the outside, but the truth is I do get angry very easily, and it was easy for me to act on that in the beginning of owning her. So that's something I had to learn to better myself for, and just overall though, I felt like owning her has kind of forced me to mature even quicker, like forced me to be patient, also forced me to realize, not every interaction with her is going to be positive. Even now, I feel like we've reached a pretty good balance where she knows what I expect out of her, and just having that dynamic is amazing because we don't tend to have conflicts where most people do in terms of, if we're out for a walk, I expect her to be in a heel, and if there's other dogs walking nearby, 90% of the time they are jumping and pulling towards us and being reactive. Whereas I'm still working on her reactivity towards dogs on the walk, but for now she is improving quite a bit, and she might show a little bit of body language in terms of being anxious and nervous while these dogs are making all this racket as we pass them. But just like I can understand how stressful that could be for a dog owner, feeling like you have to avoid people when you're on a walk because your dog will react negatively. So something like that is very important that you do benefit from if you do a lot of training with your dog. But I guess overall I just really wanted to say that not everything was positive for a while. It takes a while to get there. I do love the Siberian Husky. I kind of realized that I don't really need a cuddly dog. It's nice having your own space. Like if she was near me all the time, I would be inhaling all this hair and everything, and she would just be kind of like too in my face, I feel like. But I guess a common thing that people worry about in terms of Huskies is them shedding a lot. So in the beginning, she didn't seem like she shed too much. Like maybe it's because I have carpet, so it never felt like it was overbearing or there was a lot of hair everywhere. I do kind of notice though when I vacuum, you know, the whole thing is filled with her hair. But I do have cats also, so they contribute to that quite a bit. But I mean, I don't know if right now is like, she is definitely during her shedding periods. It's kind of funny though because there are little tufts of hair on the ground, but what's even funnier is that her butt area tends to have little hairs like sprouting out of her body. So like right here, I can just pull, hey pups, I can just pull right here and I got some of her hair. So I think if I had one of those, I guess hair blowout things they do for dogs, like I've seen videos of people using a high-powered wind air blower thing on a husky, and you would just see how much hair comes out during shedding season. But basically while she's shedding, you see bits like this sticking out of her butt, and you notice them on the floor. So it's kind of humorous sometimes, just picking some cotton out of her butt. But yeah, I mean, that's my experience with owning her. And if you have any questions whatsoever regarding obedience training, e-collars, where to find the right breeder for Siberian Huskies in like the tri-state area, I would definitely happily answer any questions. And thank you so much for watching.